What's going on, everybody? This is Justin with Me, Myself, and Dice, a channel dedicated to solo board games. And today I'm bringing you a playthrough of a hot new game, DUNE Imperium. That's right, this is a game that's getting a lot of buzz online and in the board gaming community. I really think this is a fun solo game. So let's save all that for the end and just jump down to the table and play DUNE Imperium. Welcome down the table, everyone. We have everything set up for our game of DUNE Imperium. We're playing DUNE solo and we have two AI opponents. We're going to be playing as Paul Atreides. Paul has an ability to look at the top card of his deck and draw a card if we pull a signet ability. We're playing against Glossu the Beast, Robin. I don't know how to say these names. I am not a DUNE person. I plan on reading it this year. It's on my things to read this year list, but I just have never gotten around to reading it. I don't know how it missed me by. But we got Glossu the Beast, and our other AI opponent is going to be Earl Memnon Thorvald. And we disregard these with our AI, but their signet ability may come into play. For instance, as his comes into play, it is 1 spice that he gains. Now it looks like there's a lot going on here, and at first there is, but it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. They did a good job with the icons and such on these. But DUNE Imperium is a deck building worker placement game. And if you don't know what those terms mean, that's okay. When we talk about theme, we talk about what the setting or placement is, and DUNE is the theme here. But the mechanics, when we talk about what we're actually doing to play, we are doing deck building and worker placement. So deck building means that we have our own individual deck that we're going to be altering over time. Over the course of the game, we may be adding cards to our deck, or even taking cards out, perhaps. And that's going to make us stronger throughout the game. So we're going to leave our deck off screen right now just because of room. And the worker placement is you take a worker, you get a set number of workers, and you put them somewhere on a space on the board, and that determines what you get to do or what benefits you get, that kind of thing. So it's another way of doing actions that you see in most games, but you actually have to send your worker, or in this case your agent, out to those spaces. So we'll go over all the rules as we go along, but let's just jump in. The first thing we do is we draw 5 cards off our deck. And I know these won't mean a lot to you right now, but let's go ahead and look at them. We drew Diplomacy. Now each card has a makeup of 0 to a bunch of icons on this. We can look at Fold Space, which has the max number of icons. And you see that different icons can be on there. It has an influence value down here. It may have a, let's see, we have our signet ring. Sometimes it has a ability right there. And we play these for our actions and to buy more cards. So we got Diplomacy, which is a very powerful starting card because of the icons it has here. We have our signet ring, another powerful one because it puts up our special ability. We have Dune the Desert Planet. It only has 1 icon, but is worth 1 influence. We have Dagger, which is 1 icon, but also has a sword icon. And another Dune the Desert Planet. Not a bad starting hand, actually. So Paul Atreides, his ability allows us to look at the top card of our deck and put it back. It is another Dagger. So now we know what's coming up, and that may help us. Now the main gist of this game is, in order to place your worker, you play a card that has a symbol that matches where on the board you want to go. So to start our game of DUNE Imperium, we look right here, and this has all the parts of a round. So we start here with a round start. Now we have a deck of, this is half the deck, but we have a deck of 10 cards, so this game lasts 10 rounds maximum. And we flip the first card. So this is our first level 1 conflict card, and they get better and better as you go along. So looking closer at this, we see this symbol. If you come in first place in the combat at the end of the round, you gain a victory point. That's the symbol for victory point. If you come in second, you gain an intrigue card. We have those right here. We have a lot of stuff off screen that'll come into play. And you gain 2 Solari. So Solari and Spice and Water right there. And then third place usually doesn't come into play in a 3-player game or a solo game, which is basically a 3-player game in this. But if there is a tie for second, then everybody gets third. If there's a tie for first, then nobody gets that, and you both get what's in second. So we put that there, and that helps us know if we want to participate in any combat during this round or not. So to get started, we have to go into Glossu the Beast's turn. And we're going to use an app for this. And the app is the deck of cards that you use for an AI. It just gives us some more room on the table, and it's really neat. It's really well done. So we're going to go into the app right now, and we see on our shelf of DIREWOLF Digital we have Dune. So we're going to open that up, and we're going to pick a solo game. And we have Paul as ours, and we're playing against Earl in green and the Beast in red. And then it tells us our starting resources based on our level of difficulty. We're going to pick, see it changes, they would get intrigue cards, different resources. We're going to pick Mercenary Novice. And it tells you some more things that we've already done. First player marker, and we're ready to begin. So the first thing we do, AI turns are very simple. We're going to draw a card for Glossu the Beast. So we draw a card, and this card has several things on it. It says Carthag at the top, and Carthag is one of the spaces on the board. And then it tells us what to do. It has symbol here, it has the space they're going to go to there, and it tells us what they're going to specifically do because this may not match up to the actual spots on the board. So looking at this, in Carthag, Glossu is going to recruit one troop, deploy it to the conflict, and then deploy up to 2 more troops from the garrison to the conflict. Okay, let's go back to the board and look at this. So Glossu is going to take one of his workers and put it in Carthag. Carthag is right here, so he's going to place it in that space right there. Now, several things on the space. Looking back at the image here, we see that Carthag has the desert space with the crossed swords on it, and it has the cube icon. So again, that's different than here. This has a cube and an intrigue card on it. So here, he's going to Carthag, and he's going to gain 1 troop. This comes from his supply of troops here. Every person has a supply of troops, and he, being red, is going to get 1 troop. Now, when he gets a troop, because this has a cross sword icon on it, that troop immediately goes into the combat arena. And if he had more troops here, he would pull up to 2 troops from there into the combat with him. This is the garrison. But he doesn't, he only has that 1 troop, so that is his action altogether. Okay, it is our turn. So on our turn, we do things the regular way. We're going to choose a card from our hand, and we're going to play it for one of these symbols on the side. And that's going to determine where we want to go. I think the first thing we want to do is let's play this Diplomacy. Diplomacy is a really powerful card. Diplomacy has these 4 symbols that correspond with these 4 tracks on this side of the board. Now, these symbols are a lot more rare than the symbols that appear on the rest of the board. So Diplomacy means we can pick one of these symbols. We're going to pick the Freeman symbol, and it aligns with the Freeman track down here. What we'll do is we'll place our worker, and we can pick either the Steel Suits or the Hardy Warriors. Some spaces have a cost on it. The Hardy Warriors cost us 1 water, which we have, and Steel Suits cost us nothing. Steel Suits will get us a water, while Hardy Warriors will get us 2 troops. And it is a cross sword space icon, so those troops do go into battle. And what the heck, let's do Hardy Warriors. We have a water, let's spend it. It goes back to the bank. First thing we do is we move our cube up the track. There are benefits for getting farther up the track. And then we can, if we had an ability here, we could choose what order we go in. We can either take that or the ability here. We don't have an ability we can use, so we're going to take 2 troops and deploy them to combat. So 2 troops go into combat, and we can also pull up to 2 more troops. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and get 4 troops in there. I want that victory point. And that's it. That's our turn. That's diplomacy. We leave that face up in front of us as played, and we move on to the Earl's turn. So we go back to the app. We draw a card and harvest spice. Now this would be if there were extra spice. After each round, spice is going to start piling up on these spots right here. And he would send his worker if there was a pile of extras on here. But since there's no extras, they don't want to go to it. So we actually skip that card. So we draw the next card, and it is Arrakeen. So in Arrakeen, you see it's a cross sword spot. He's going to get a troop and use his signet ability. So we grab his worker. He's going to Arrakeen, which is right here. He's going to first grab a troop. So since it's a cross sword location, he does get a troop into this mix. And all three of us are committed now. And he gets his signet ability. His signet ability is the Spice Horde. So he gets a spice. Now what is he going to do with the spice? Because he doesn't have to pay anytime he goes to anything. If they get 7 spice or 7 solari, then they gain a point. They trade him in for a point. So he's at 1. If they get 3 water tokens, they get a point. And if they ever have 3 intrigue cards, they get a point. So that's how they're going to move up this victory point track right here, in addition to gaining victory points on the board. And they will race up this pretty fast, at least an average of 1 point per turn. Okay, so he did that. He got his cube, and then that card is the signet ring. And we did the signet ability, and that's his turn. So we continue to Glossu because he still has a worker left. We hit the draw button. Actually, let's go back and check those off. Hit the draw button. And again, the harvest spice we skip. Harvest spice we skip. Fold space. So Glossu wants to come over here to the fold space of the Spacing Guild track. And he simply moves his token up 1. Gain 1 influence with the Spacing Guild. Okay, then it's our turn again. I think this time we want to play our Signet Ring. But first we want to look at the top card of our deck. That is Paul's Presence ability. So we can look at the top card of our deck. It's a dagger. Fantastic. Then I definitely want to use this Signet Ring. So we'll play Signet Ring, and we can go to one of these 3 areas. Green is up here. Yellow is here and here. And purple is right here. Now you can never, with most worker placement games, especially this one, and this is true for the AI, unless something allows you to, you can never go to a spot that's already taken. You have to choose a different spot. Now looking around, Earl has 1 more worker, so he's going to get 1 more turn. So he potentially could get another cube in here, but we still could beat him out. So I'm not worried about the combat as much anymore. I want to keep moving on. And with this card, I think the best way to keep moving on is to go to this right here. So we'll send our worker to secure a contract, and he's going to get us 3 solari. Now before we put this card in our play area, we need to do his signet ability, which is draw 1 card. So we draw 1 off of our deck, and it is the dagger that we looked at just a minute ago. We add that to our hand. So now we have 2 daggers and 2 Dune the Desert Planets. We draw for Earl Memnon Thorvald's turn, and he's going to pull Arrakeen. Well, he already went to Arrakeen, and like I said, he can't double up there. So we're going to skip that one and draw the next one. And this is the Imperium Churn. Now this is specific to the app. This is really interesting. I like that they've added this because it kind of cycles this market. Otherwise, we're the only ones really cycling anything. It says trash and replace the 3rd and 5th cards in the Imperium row, then draw another card. So the 3rd and 5th cards means this one and this one. We're going from the top down. And then we draw 2 more cards. Immediately replace them. So we have Space Travel, and we have Bene Gesserit Initiate. And then it says this bonus card doesn't take up the opponent's turn or act as a combat card. Always do the indicated replacements, then draw another card. So we're going to check that and draw another card. We get Conspire. So still his turn, he's going to send his worker to the Emperor track and Conspire. This means that he gets 1 influence with the Emperor going up that track. He gains 2 soldiers, but this, if you look, is not a cross swords icon that he's on. So these go in as garrison and he can't pull them into the battle. I'm completely fine with that. It comes back to Glossu's turn and he can't do anything. On our turn, we have no more workers. So we do the reveal phase. And the reveal phase means that you take all of the cards that you have left in your hand and you reveal them. So we have 2 with basically money on it, and this is what we can use to buy cards. And then we have 2 with sword icons. So we'll split those up and lay those out. Let's start with this one. The 2 money. Now we can spend it. We have nothing here except the scout that costs 2. But our other option, these 3 stacks are exactly the same and they don't change. We have the Arrakis Liaison for 2, and this will give us a little bit more bolster of influence and gives us 2 icons. I think, however, I'm going to waste 1 and just spend only 1, unless another 1 comes out. So we're going to take a scout, has those 2 icons, nothing special here, but it does provide us 1 influence and a sword, which we're going to see that in a second, and an ability, if we play it during this phase, during the reveal phase, we don't play it for its icons, then we can retreat up to 2 of your troops. So if I played it right, if I'd had it in my hand and played it right now, I could have chosen to back out of this battle, and actually probably would have right now. At least 2 of my troops out. And that's because every troop that's in this battle, win or lose, goes away. So knowing that we had the edge on them, I might would have chosen to take 1 or 2 out to save for later. But we don't have that yet. That actually goes in our discard pile, which is going to go right there. Okay, that's the reveal phase. Now we go to combat, and that's where these carry over. So there's a handy little key down here that says cubes equal 2, swords equal 1. So we have 4 cubes in the battle. We take our little marker, multiply it times 2. We have a strength of 8. Green has a strength of 2, red has a strength of 2. And then we add to our strength any of the revealed sword icons that we played. So playing cards is really powerful, but reveal cards are really powerful too. So knowing how to do that is part of the game. There's a lot of trickiness in these cards. So we get 2 more, swords equal 1, so just 2. We have a strength of 10, big overkill there. But they get to reveal cards as well. So we're going to go back and draw for Earl. The Earl draws. Now we ignore the top part of the card and we look at the bottom 2 icons. And he gets 2 swords, so he's going to bump his up by 2 to 4. We do the same thing, and Hall of Oratory, the worst card to pull in the game. So it has a blank down there, meaning nothing is added. It's the weakest spot on the board. Now what's really neat is that there is a deck of cards under here, and you can actually inspect what's left in the deck and inspect the discard pile. It's not in the right order, but it contains what's left, because this deck, like our deck, doesn't reshuffle until it runs out, and both AI are running off of this. And so there are a 5 and I believe a 6 sword icon. Yes, there's a 5 and a 6 sword icon, and then there's a couple nuns, there's several 1s. The average seems to be about 2 to 3. We immediately need to replace that because we had 1 left, and it's a 5. We have Carry All. Double the base, not bonus, spice you harvest with this agent. It can also gain a spice in the reveal phase as well as an influence. Okay, so these go in here. And then we look back at this conflict card, and it's going to tell us what we have won. We have won a victory point. We came in first. So we are on the board first and foremost. These all get reset to 0. Green came in second with an influence or an intrigue card, sorry. So 1 intrigue card and 2 Solari. Remember, they have to get 7 of these. 7 of these. So he has 2 Solari. He has 2 Solari, 1 intrigue card, and 1 spice. Okay, we're done with combat. Now it's the maker's phase. Now all of these cubes go back to the supply. The maker's phase, we look at these 3. They have these sandworm icons on it, and each one that doesn't have a worker on it, an agent on it, makes a spice. So if he had gone here, we wouldn't put a spice there. We would skip it. So spice starts collecting. So now if somebody goes there, they can receive the 2 plus any extra that are here. So 1 or 2 in total there, or 4 right now in total there. Very powerful spots. Now we recall our workers. So both of mine come back over here, both of the beast's agents come back over here, and both of Earl Memnon's comes back over there. And then we go back around. That's what a round is. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We look at our second conflict card. Ooh, another victory point, but also trashing a card. Now trashing a card can be very powerful in this game, because we have pretty weak cards in our deck and you don't build up a ton of extra cards. So that's really good. A water and a spice. And then if there's a tie there, what spice? We need to draw 5 cards. We only have 4 in our deck. So here's where the fun part of deck building comes in. We take our discard pile and we shuffle it up. So that card that we just bought, the Scouts, could come out this round. But it's definitely going to come out in the next 1 or 2 rounds. So we draw 1 card to get 5. That's our draw pile now. And we get Seek Allies, very powerful, another powerful card. We have Convincing Argument, no icons on it, but it has 2 influence. Reconnaissance, Convincing Argument again, and Signet Ring. We pulled our Signet Ring is the one that we have already seen. So those are our 5 cards. We move the marker here. We are the first player. Now I have to think I'm already kind of ahead a little bit, not by much, but maybe I can start working on something else now. So usually I like to play Seeking Allies as soon as I get it, but we can look at a card and see what's coming up. Maybe that'll help us. Up the dagger. I don't know if I have too much use for the dagger this turn, but the dagger does provide a green icon, so that's something to think about. We do have most of the green areas cost Solari, so not the Hall of Oratory, but they're pretty expensive, 2, 4, 8, and 5. So I tell you what, we're going to start with Seek Allies. Now this is an interesting card in your starting deck because its ability is to trash this card, so it's a one-time only card. And it has the 4 track icons on it. And we're going to gain influence again in the Freeman track. So this card gets trashed, it's out of the game. And we send our worker over here. We're going to do Still Suits this turn because we don't have a water and we need a water. We move up the track. When you come onto here, you gain a victory point. Same with the second spot of every track. You gain a victory point. So we're up to 2 victory points. And we gain a water, which gives us some flexibility down here. That's our turn. Let's look and see what Earl's going to do. He draws a card and he gets Conspire. I think he had that last time. Yes, he did. So he's going to move over here to Conspire. He's going to move up the track. He gains a victory point just like I did. And he's going to pull 2 troops into his garrison. He now has 4. He's building up a force here. Very nice. Gain 1 troop, recruit 2 troops. Okay. And then we have another Imperium Churn. So the first card we're going to get is the Death Commando. I love that art. Man, that art is killer. No pun intended. And the second card we pull is Freeman Camp. Okay, nice. Nice. Okay. So that doesn't, we did that. That doesn't count as a turn. So we draw another card and we get Selective Breeding. So the beast is going to come over here to Selective Breeding and gain 1 influence on the Bene Gesserit track. So he's red, he goes up 1 there. Good to go. Whoops. Good to go. Check that off. All right. Now it's our turn. We look at our 4 cards, and we definitely are keeping these 2 because they don't have any actions spaces on them. We can play Reconnaissance or Signet Ring. We're going to play our Signet Ring. Now, we have to keep these 2 because they don't have any action icons on them. And I need to go to purple, but I want to draw that extra card for what I have planned. So, we're going to go to this area right here. Now, this area is interesting because unlike any of the other ones, it has a restriction on it. You have to have 2 influence in the Freeman before you can even go there. So we do have 2 influence. We just got it. That's what got us that victory point. And we can go there. We gain a troop. It does go into the combat. I wasn't planning on doing combat, but it's okay if we do. We gain a water. I need a water. And I can pull another one in. Let's just pull another one in for the heck of it. Alright, so this is played in front of us. And now the Earl gets to go. He's going to Carthag right here. And that means he's going to pull a troop into battle here and 2 more. So he is outnumbering me. We did that and that. Now he wants to go to Still Suits. We have taken that. So it's skipped. And Selective Breeding is taken. So he wants to go to Secret. So he's doubling down on the Bene Gesserit track. So he's actually going to get a point for that. And he's speeding up along. Gain 1 influence with the Bene Gesserit. And it comes back to our turn. We're out of workers, so we go to the reveal phase. We have 5 to work with. Except we didn't draw a card. We should have drawn a card. Sorry, we knew what this was. And we would reveal our dagger. So that goes there. And that goes there. Okay. So on our reveal phase, we can buy something. I think I'm going to buy this Death Commando that goes in our discard. Another one comes out. So that was 3. I have 2 left. And we'll get the voice. Sure. Why not? Actually, we won't get the voice. Oh. So we'll just stick that back in the deck somewhere. Should be like that, I think. Yeah. And we'll give the deck a shuffle a second. Sorry. My brain didn't work as fast as my mouth did. We're going to spend our other 2 here to get Arrakis Liaison. It's a stronger card. Just give that a quick crumple together. It's a big deck. Okay. And put that back. So there we go. We've spent all this. It's there. And then we go back around. The Earl has nothing to play. Glossy has nothing to play. So the Earl and I are going to have a little battle here. So I have 4 strength, 2 for each, plus 1, I'm at 5. He starts with 6, and he's going to draw a card, and it's the Hardy Warriors. He gains 5 more. So he's at 11, I'm at 5. He wholeheartedly and handily wins. He goes up a point. As a consolation, I get what else is left on here. Number 2, a water and a spice. I'm actually okay with that. Water and a spice. All right, all of this goes into our discard. We draw 5 more cards. That's what we have in our deck. We'll look at those in a second. And we do the Maker's phase. Nobody was on these spots. 1, 2, 3. And then we recall our workers. Okay, round start, we pull the 3rd round card, and it is a victory point and a water, or a water and a spice. This moves up to the Earl as the first player, and let's see what he does. He's going to the Hall of Oratory. That's completely fine. He's going to gain a troop. And that goes in his garrison. It is not a cross sword. We recruited 1 troop, and now we draw for the beast, and he is going to Highliner. Highliner is over here in the fold, and it is a nasty place. If you see, it has a cross sword icon there, and he's going to gain 3 troops, and he's moving up the track. So he's going to gain a victory point. We're tied at 2 now. And he gets 3 troops. 1, 2, 3, but they all go into the combat. Very aggressive. Okay, and he doesn't have any to pull from there. Now it's our turn. What do we want to do? We have the dagger. Our second one, we have Dune the Desert Planet, the Scout, and Diplomacy. I think we're going to play our Diplomacy card to go to Fold Space over here. What Fold Space does is it gives us 1 in that track, so we can start working on a second track, and we gain the Fold Space card. Fold Space card has all of the emblems on it. Lets us draw a card and trash. We have to trash this card. So this is a very powerful card that's going in our deck. So now the Earl gets to go again. He wants to harvest spice. So this time he is going to harvest spice, and he goes to where he can get the most spice. He doesn't pay the cost, and he gets 5 spice. So he is at 6 total spice. 1 more, and he will gain a point. This needs to be gone. Let's go to the next card for the Beast. And he wants to rally troops. Woo, aggressive. Rally troops is up here. He gains 4 troops, but it is to his garrison, not to the combat. These should have come off, sorry. Now it's our turn. I actually was planning on going to the Great Flat, but I'm okay if I only go to the Haga Basin. So let's play a Dune the Desert Planet. We're going to go here to get 4, and I'll trade in 1. So the 2 that were there, trade in 1, and we get this honkin' 5. So we have 6 spice right now, and it costs us a water to go there. Okay. Now, the Earl is out of workers. The Beast is out of agents. We are out of agents, so we're going to go to the reveal phase. Now, I did go to a cross sword spot, but since it didn't give me any troops, and since I didn't have any troops garrisoned, I can't enter this battle. So, the reveal phase. We'll start here. He has nothing in the combat. He's going to win the combat. He goes away with 3. But he comes out with a point and a water. And remember, it only takes 3 waters. This is his first one to gain a point. And then we go to the reveal. We have a sword from our dagger. It's not going to do us any good. And we have 2 from our Scout and our Dune the Desert Planet. So what can we get for 2? We can get the Voice. Would not be bad. Thinking what I want to do next turn, I think I will pull the Voice. That goes in my discard. And we pull the Bene Gesserit Sister for 3. That's a very good card. I like that one a lot. Okay, so Maker's going to make. So 1 goes here, and none goes in those other 2 because there is somebody on them. And then we recall. The round marker moves. We flip the next conflict card. It is 2 intrigue cards. This is very nice. 2 intrigue cards and move up a track of your choice by 1. Woo! I might want to get in on that. I wasn't planning on it, but I'm way out. They have a nice head start there. So let's see what the Beast does. He's going to draw a card, and he goes to Carthag. Carthag is he gets to pull a troop into the battle. So he's going into the battle with 3 already. Remember, you pull 1 troop in and deploy up to 2 more troops to the conflict. Okay, then it's our turn. We forgot to draw cards, so we were out of cards. So we get to shuffle our deck. Everything we just bought in the last 2 rounds is going into our deck. And we draw 5 cards. Now, if you played a deck builder, this does not have a ton of deck building in it. It's pretty low on the deck building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In fact, it's easy to swamp your deck with cards you don't need. So we got our Signet Ring, Convincing Argument, our Death Commando, our Arrakis Liaison, and Dune the Desert Planet. Looks like we're going to do some buying this turn. I think we're going to play Dune the Desert Planet, and we're going to go to a spot we haven't been to before. Up here, Sell Melange. We're going to take 5 of our 6 spice, and we trade it in. This is the ratio. So we're going to trade it in for 12 Solari. That is a huge gain. I really shouldn't need much more in the way of Solari anymore in the game. So there's 10, two of those, 11, 12. But I'm going to trade these 4 in for another 5. So here we go. That's what we're working with. And that's really big. Really big. This turn's going to be really big. I think I'm going to have to skip combat though. We'll see. Okay, so that's my turn. We go to the Earl, and he draws Wealth. So he's going to be moving up this Emperor track again. So he's staying pretty consistent running up this track. Now he's 1 away from this golden part that's on the top of these. The golden part has 2 things going on. One, if you get there, there's an immediate bonus you get. So in this case, it's 2 troops, and you get this, which is a victory point. But you only get it if you can hold on to it. If somebody passes you on this track, then they take this from you. So if you get all the way to the top, nobody can pass you. But right now, whoever gets there first gets it. So that was good. He gained 1 influence with the Emperor. And we go on to the Beast's turn, and he's going to fold space, which means he moves up 1 more here. He's staying pretty consistent on that track as well. So gain 1 influence, check that off. And it's our turn again. We can look at the top card of our deck to see what we want to play. Reconnaissance 1, not really what I'm looking for. But I think that's what I want to play in order to get, that's the only way I can get the green icon with the least amount of losing influence. So we're going to, in fact, it's going to gain me an influence. So we'll go ahead and do that. Draw a card, 1 influence, Dune or Reconnaissance. And we're going to go to another space we haven't been to. And actually, you can only go to it once per game. And that is the Swordmaster spot. Now, if you notice, every time I clear the board, 2 things stay the same. The Swordmaster that I placed here, typically in a multiplayer game, you place it off the board. But I place it here, just to remind me, on that plus. And the Mentat. And the Mentat, both of these are extra workers. So we're going to get, this one is ours from now on. So from now on, we're going to get 3 workers, including this round. The Mentat, when you get that, you only get it for that round, and then it goes back. It's a borrowed agent. So we played our Signet Ring, we drew 1, we went to the space, we got our Swordmaster, we got to play 8. So there's 10, we get 2 back. And see, we're still swimming in it. Okay, it goes around to the Earl, and we have our Akeem. He's going to go there. He's going to pull in a troop into the conflict with 2 more. Oh, glad I didn't go into the conflict now. And he gets his Signet ability, which is 1 spice. So now, with that spice, he has 7. That's traded in for a point. So they're getting ahead of me. Not cool. So, we went to Arkeen, activated his rival Signet ability, and he's in the conflict. We're good there. The Beast can't do anything because he has no agents, and it's back to my turn, and I now have an extra agent. Let's use Paul Atreides' ability to look at the top card. It's a dagger. I don't want to pull that this turn, I don't think. So we're going to use our Arrakis Liaison, and we're going to use it for the green emblem. And we're going to go up here to rally troops. Now it's going to cost us 4, but since we have the money, I'm okay with that. And we get to garrison 4 troops. Now again, it's not, oops, we're not green. It's not we don't put them into the battle. I'm just saving them up for later. I would love to have put them in battle this turn, but it's too iffy. Okay, we've used that. It goes in our play area. We're now, he can't do anything, he can't do anything. We have our reveal phase. So we have 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 cards, or 4 influence we can spend. I think we're going to get the Bene Gesserit's sister. Actually, let's see. The Gunthopter. Each opponent loses 1 garrison troop. Oh, that's a way to take them down a notch. You need to deploy a troop from your garrison to the conflict when you do the reveal phase. Well, that's pretty powerful. I think this one's just a little more what I want to go for, though. So we're just going to spend 3 of our 4 and waste the other one, and that goes in our discard pile. And I'll go ahead and draw 5 cards, and we'll look at them in a minute, just so I don't forget. There are 3 cards left in our deck. And then these guys are going to hash it out. So let's go ahead and set that they both have 6 right now. So it comes down to the draw. We're going to draw for the Earl first. He gets 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And I used the wrong token. Let's put the right one in there. So we did that. Adds 3 strength. And now we're going to add 4 more strength. Again, you don't look at the top. You only look at the bottom. 4 strength here. So it comes down to the Beast winning by 1. All these troops are gone. So the Beast gets the first place prize. He gets to move up the track and 2 influence cards. So right there, he's 2/3 of the way to a victory point. We don't look at him, we just put him in his stack. Now, I'm kind of glad he won, because if the Earl had won that one, then he would have gotten a point off of it. So now he gets the reward of going up a track. And when there's a choice, he goes up the track that he has the least of. So that would be either Freeman or Emperor, and it's our choice. I think I want him to go up the Emperor because I have no interest in that track. We need to replace this card here. We got Peter de Vries. Gain an entry card. We haven't looked at entry cards yet. Hopefully soon. Or 3 money and a sword. Oh, that's great. That's great. So looking forward to our next turn. This is a big one. We have our fold space. Again, we trash a card. We get to draw one. So let's look at the top card we have while we're thinking about it. It is, ooh, the voice. Nice. We have our scout. Convincing argument. Diplomacy, and dagger. So this is a pretty strong hand. And the reason I said it's a big turn, not because of what's in my hand necessarily, but we flip this card. Ooh, yes, I definitely want to try to get in on this. This gives us a free move on any of the tracks. Fantastic. So that's what we're going for. Now, this looks empty. It's not. I set this aside because I don't like the way they tell you to do it. Whenever you flip this card, which is exactly halfway through the deck, these are revealed, because this would be under there. There's the rest of the rounds. We're 1 more 2, and then we go to level 3s. But they get their extra worker. So we forgot to do, we got out of turn. Let's do the makers real quick, and then recall everybody. And the game is now going to speed up drastically.